So let's begin with the first option and write a function for reading from a training file. Let's start that function by asking the user for the name of a file they want the program to read. And I'm just going to make a new scanner here and save the answer in a variable called filename. Then I have to create a file object with that value they just gave me. And I have to import file into the project. Okay, then I'm going to create another scanner object that will read from that file instead of from the keyboard. And here we get an error because Java doesn't know whether that file will actually be there at runtime. So it wants us to have a backup plan in case it fails to open that file. And having a backup plan here is called handling an exception. And if you click on the error light bulb on the left column, you'll see a few different suggestions for how we can handle it. The first one says we could throw the exception, which means if we had an error in here, the function would just immediately stop its execution and send the error to the function that called it, which in this case is our main function. Then we'd have to handle the exception in the main function anyway. So the lesson here is you can't just throw your problems away. You have to handle them sooner or later. So the second choice is actually a better option, I think. It says we can surround the dangerous code, or the code that could result in an error, with something called a try-catch. Let's just do that. Now, any code that relies on our file being successfully opened, we just keep inside this try block. And if something goes wrong, the program will jump down to where it says catch, which right now contains code that will display our error in something called a logger. That's our backup plan. And we could change it to do whatever we want, but I think logging our error is good enough here. So, moving on. Let's pretend we have a function called readData that we can pass a scanner into. And then that function will take care of all the training. And now let's create that function.